Hey guys, this is the story of Don Fury Studio. Hope you like it. In 1977, I was 22, and I was living in a penthouse in New York City with my friends Dee, Suzette, and Richie. It was a good year. Richie was getting work with soap operas and the movie The Warriors, which is really cool. Dee was doing great with Twisted Sister. They were the biggest band in the tri-state area, Long Island, New York, and New Jersey. They stayed out of Manhattan, though. Suzette was doing well in school at FIT. And I decided that I wanted to front my own band. There was only one problem with that, and that is I wasn't a singer. So I had to learn to sing and play guitar at the same time. Now, I was very shy. But we were on the top floor of Kiel Tower, the 23rd floor, and there was a little doorway out in the hall, and that doorway led to the water tower. And it was a huge, big wooden water tank, up on stilts, except it was all enclosed in a brick house, basically, with windows, so sunlight came in to the water tower. It was really funky and cool. So when nobody was around, I would sneak out and, take my guitar up to the water tower and go just sit down there and play guitar and try to learn to sing at the same time, probably just singing Rolling Stones songs or the Beatles or something like that for, 1 or 2 months. And it was fun doing that, going up there. It was an afternoon sun coming through the windows, just jamming out. And I decided, okay, I can do this if I keep it simple. That's okay. So I was like, okay, let's put a band together. The only problem was everybody that I was hanging around with was from Long Island, Dee, Suzette, Richie, my girlfriend Carol. All the musicians I knew were from Long Island. And that wasn't conducive to meeting people who were here in the city, downtown, Plus I wasn't super adventurous about going out and trying to meet people. So I got a couple guys together, and we ended up rehearsing on Long Island. So I was actually traveling back to Long Island to rehearse with a trio, and that was definitely not the most convenient way to make a band happen. But it's what I knew, and so it's what I did. And we got maybe a 15-minute set together, or a 20-minute set maximum, and managed to get one show at a small club on West 8th Street down in the basement, and under the name The Lost Boys, which I always thought was cool name for a band. And so we did this show, probably to like 10 people, and but it was all right. It was the only show we did, but it proved to me that at least I could play guitar and sing at the same time and front a band. In the summer of 1978, Carol and I found out that our son, Mick, was on the way and due to show up in January of 1979. Carol had a daughter, Danielle, and so we knew we had to find our own place. And that was daunting. Neither of us had ever looked for an apartment before. We didn't have references. We weren't working full time. So we were at a loss. One afternoon, I don't know where I was, but I picked up a New York Times magazine, and there was a long article in there about lofts in Manhattan. And what's a loft? I have no idea what a loft is. So I read the article, and it was all about raw lofts, commercial buildings and commercial spaces that had gone unused for long amounts of time, and artists and photographers and musicians and other, people were taking over and doing conversions or just basically living in. So I was like, wow, that sounds like an interesting idea. maybe we can get a loft and maybe I can rehearse the band in the loft also instead of going all the way out to Long Island. And that would make a really big difference. And so we looked in the paper, and there were lofts listed all over the place. And I walked into a loft on 15 East 17th Street, a huge empty space, dark, needed paint, no kitchen, no hot water, no nothing. And I was like, let's take it. And so 2 weeks after I read this article, Carol and I had a loft in Chelsea, and when the ink from my pen hit the paper of that lease, that was the beginning of the studio. If you look all the way at the top of this photo, you'll see the green copper roof of the water tower. That's where I learned how to sing. It was a lot of fun. We took a loft on the 3rd floor of 15 East 17th Street in September of 1978. That's where the studio would begin.